this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Breaking news, everybody. Don Sterling, the Jewish billionaire owner of the LA Clippers, was banned from the NBA for life. Sterling has reportedly said outrageous, disgusting, racist statements against black people. Sterling told his girlfriend that it bothered him that she associates with black people. That is the end of the breaking news.
Wait a minute. That is not the whole story. You are omitting something very important. Why don't you tell the people what else he said to his girlfriend? In the same recording, Sterling bragged about how badly blacks are treated in Israel. He said, "You go to Israel. The blacks are treated like dogs." That is what Sterling said, and that is a big story the public wants to know about. So does Israel discriminate against blacks? Let's examine the facts about Israeli discrimination against black Africans. Please note, all facts that follow are documented in the reference section at the end of this video. There are about 125,000 black African Jews living in Israel. In addition, there are about 50,000 black African asylum seekers in Israel. Black Jews are routinely subjected to racist abuse from white Israelis, and many are prevented from working or going to certain schools because of their skin color. 2010, 52% of black Israeli families were living below the poverty line, and their unemployment rate was 35%. In January 2012, the United Nations issued a report urging the Israeli government to prevent racist attacks against black Africans in Israel. The Israeli government ignored the UN's call, and the following month, Israel's firebombed a kindergarten for African children in Tel Aviv, igniting a wave of violence against non-Jewish African people in Israel that is still ongoing. This is not a story about the United States in the 1860s. It is happening in Israel in 2014. A documentary video produced by Sheen and Blumenthal details discrimination practices against black Africans in Israel. The documentary shows Israelis' discrimination and attacks on blacks and their supporters. It highlights anti-blacks rallies that took place in Israel in 2012. Here are some excerpts from this documentary.
נגיד פה לכל הצבועים האלה, לכל הצבועים, אתם רוצים לעזור לאפריקאים? תיסעו לאפריקה. אתם רוצים לתת להם אוכל? לכו תיתנו להם שם. זאת המדינה היהודית היחידה שיש לנו. אבל הדבר החשוב ביותר זה לגרש את המסתננים לארץ ישראל ולשמור על מדינת ישראל כמדינה יהודית.
Prime Minister Netanyahu warned that their presence increases the looming threat to the Jewish character of the state.
אנחנו הצלחנו לבלום את הכניסה של המסתננים.
The Israeli Interior Minister Eli Yishai said, "The infiltrators, meaning black African immigrants, along with the Palestinians, will quickly bring us to the end of the Zionist dream. This country belongs to us, to the white man." These are the words of the Israeli Interior Minister to an Israeli newspaper on June 4, 2012. Official Israeli government incitement against black has for sure produced further social racism and attacks on blacks in Israel. And please remember, this is not a story about South Africa apartheid in 1980. It is Israeli apartheid in 2014. In December 2010, Israel appointed rabbis issued a letter forbidding Jews from renting their apartments to black Africans. The Israeli government implemented programs to sterilize black Jewish women so they don't produce more black Jewish kids. Let us listen to this report by Abby Martin, aired in 2013.
the Israeli government has been forcibly administering birth control to a segment of its population. For the first time, an Israeli government official has publicly acknowledged their practice of injecting Ethiopian Jewish women against their will with contraceptives. Israel is a country that has experienced a significant influx of Ethiopian immigrants during the last 2 decades. Now, some 130,000 Ethiopians, most of whom are Jewish, live in the country. However, the Ethiopian minority population is heavily marginalized and segregated. Not to mention they experience exponentially higher poverty and unemployment rates than that of native Israelis. In fact, there have been multiple instances of racist mobs who have vandalized and harassed Ethiopian neighborhoods. And even these nationalists are even supported by some members of the Israeli Knesset. At one nationalist rally, a Knesset minister, Miri Regev, described illegal immigrants as a, quote, cancer to the country. Perhaps more disturbing than all of this is that the Ethiopian Jewish population has been struggling with a staggering 50% decline in their birth rate over the last decade. And this week, we've finally been able to confirm why. According to Israel news source Haaretz, the government has been injecting Ethiopian Jewish immigrants with Depo-Provera, a hormonal contraceptive, and they've been doing it without their consent or not.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Israel, home of modern detention facilities, or should we call it, concentration camps. Built in 2013 by Israel specifically for African blacks.
To hold the migrants and asylum seekers before deporting them, Israel's government has built what it calls an accommodation center in the Negev desert. Blueprints of the center reveal that it will be in fact the largest prison of its kind in any industrialized nation. Currently, about 2,000 Africans languish in the detention center in what human rights groups describe as substandard conditions.
So the racist Sterling was correct on how Israel treats blacks. It is disgraceful and shame on humanity. Israel discrimination against black Africans should stop immediately. As the great Martin Luther King said, we will have to repent in this generation not merely for the vitriolic words and actions of the bad people, but for the appalling silence of the good people. We all need to speak out. Please don't be silent.
Our generation will have to repent not only for the words and acts of the children of darkness, but also for the fears and apathy of the children of light.
Don't be tempted by the shiny apple. Don't you eat of a bitter fruit. Hunger only for a taste of justice. Hunger only for a world of truth. All that you have is your soul.